So it's time to fact check myself about rodents. Rodents! I recently claimed that all rodents are incontinent, and boy was I wrong. I could not have been more incorrect if I had tried. But first off, who am I and what is this channel? So my name's Chris and I'm a data analyst and ecological psychologist, and here on Stat Bites I address misinformation found in content across the internet, or I simply just elaborate on what other people have said if I think there's more to say about a topic. And this time I'm fact checking myself, and obviously if you like what I'm doing, please hit like and subscribe, as it really helps small channels like mine. So in response to a video from Thor over at Pirate Software, I said this.
I think it's pretty much all rodents are incontinent.
And someone in the comments replied that, well, I've had loads of hamsters and not one has pissed or shit in its wheel. They always had a toilet corner. And this was enough to pique my curiosity, to be honest. So I started to investigate, and I found out that I'd fallen prey to a very common myth. However, it was surprisingly hard to find any reliable source of information either way, and all I could find was claims without citations, which isn't good enough for this channel on its own. The most accurate fact-checking requires primary sources of information to corroborate claims, with other sources seen as less reliable and therefore carry a higher likelihood of being incorrect if used on their own. Even though the blog posts and websites were created by seemingly professional people, there was actually no way to verify the information and that the person had the credentials to reliably make their claims. I did try contacting the websites directly, along with a couple of veterinarians, and thankfully one vet did reply to me, the helpful Vancouver Vet.
We always squish that cat. They can feel very secure that way, and they generally, even if they're really scared, like sometimes cats come to me in the clinic and they're quite afraid, and you just gently squish them and they'll sit there and kind of not hurt themselves, not hurt us, just hang out and let us do our thing.
Who said this? That is an interesting question about whether all rodents are incontinent. How do you differentiate between incontinence and a rodent just peeing wherever it feels like? Well, we know that the urinary system works the same in rodents as it does in any other mammal, and that incontinence has discrete causes arising from the malfunction of the urinary system, unless it is a behavioural incontinence, which arises from malfunctions in social conditioning. Within this framework, I can confidently say that no rodent is incontinent by default, but they can develop all the health issues that lead to incontinence that any other species can, and are also mostly arseholes who piss anywhere they want, with the exception of gerbils and probably some other species that maintain designated toileting areas in their environment. So thank you to helpful Vancouver Vet for responding to me and giving us such a fantastic answer. And with his verifiable training, expertise and experience, we can comfortably claim that rodents are not naturally incontinent. So now let's go into some more detail about rodents, the evidence to support this claim, along with some interesting tidbits about rodent behaviour.
Foul! Rodents!
How do they actually classify what species is a rodent? This is entirely based on the species having two incisors that are constantly growing, which are ground down through use. Some rodent species include rats, mice, capybaras, beavers and squirrels.
You can call me the rodent!
And people sometimes mistake other species of being part of the order Rodentia, such as rabbits, raccoons,
She called me rodent!
and bats.
Bats aren't rodents, Dr. Meridian.
But if you remember the factoid about grinding down constantly growing incisors, you can't go too far wrong about what is and isn't part of order Rodentia. The crazy thing is that about 42% of mammals are rodents, which is around 2,700 species. But how do we know for sure they're not naturally incontinent? Well, in the field of urology, it is common to use breeds of rats and mice to conduct research on continence. Researchers can do this because the urological system is mostly the same across all species of mammals. And while there can be some differences between the species, for example the prostate in male humans and male rodents are differently arranged, but they both still have prostates and the prostates serve the same purpose. As already suggested by helpful Vancouver Vet, rodents can also suffer from incontinence in the same way that humans do, whether through a mechanical issue or a psychological issue. The full range of issues is too large to cover for this video, but an example of a mechanical issue that crosses mammalian species is called stress urinary incontinence. This happens when the bladder is stressed during activities like coughing, laughing or exercise, and it causes a leakage of urine. Some causes of stress incontinence can include being pregnant, sustaining an injury to the urethra area, or being overweight. And stress incontinence is more common in women, but men can suffer with it as well. As for psychological issues, it is well documented that lab rats and mice can suffer from behavioural incontinence due to their environment, along with other behaviours like fighting and excessive washing. Clues about the continence of rodents is also found in their behaviour. Some, but not all rodents use latrines. This is a more complicated behaviour than you might first think, as it involves a community of the local population identifying and then deciding to use that area as the latrine, and then maintaining that separation of the nest, the feeding grounds, and the latrine. So already on a cognitive level, this is rather an impressive feat, but it also serves an evolutionary purpose. Although rodents could be culturally associated with dirt and disease,
A dirty, filthy rodent.
they are still susceptible to diseases like any other mammalian species. This means they need to keep the nest as clean as possible and engage in welfare behaviours to keep their young healthy. And more importantly for this video, they need to be able to hold on to their pee to actually reach the latrine in the first place. Well, if you find any of that interesting and you want to read more detail about rodents using latrines, then I've included some publicly available research articles in the description, along with other links to support the other claims I've made here. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy what I'm doing, and please comment your thoughts or critique below. This video, after all, was born from a YouTube comment, so make sure to check out the helpful Vancouver Vet as well. He is actually very helpful, and his videos have helped me out with my 5 cats on several occasions. Anyway, catch you in the next one.